Welcome to the webinar tonight. So tonight, Carolyn and I are going to be talking about predictive profit targets and how to pick your entries and exits in advance. So, first of all, I want to start off by asking you why you are here tonight and what you're hoping to learn. Because let's be clear. I mean, we're here because we want to show you what you want to know. So, we're all thankful for Darrell. That's right. Yes. Are you working on precise entries and exits? Are you working on technicals? Are you working on, yes, when to get in and out, how to make money? Want to hear what the Fib Queen has to say? Exits. Okay, great. All of it. Excellent, excellent. Well, here's a little bit about what we're going to be talking about tonight. So I'm going to tell a little bit about my story as well as Carolyn's. We're also going to be talking about what we use in the market right now. Primarily, we're going to focus on technical analysis because, of course, that is everything that Carolyn does, and she's the queen at it, which is why we call her the Fibonacci queen. We're also going to be talking about identifying your own path towards self-sufficiency and how you can succeed. So I'm just going to do a short introduction about myself and tell a little bit about the story between Carolyn and I. And then after that, I'm going to be passing the mic over to Carolyn, who is going to go through some of her setups. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Danielle. I'm the Director of Options here at Simpler Trading. I do commentary, market analyst. I'm a trader in the options room, but it was actually Carolyn in the very beginning who helped me, get to where I am at currently. Here's Carolyn. How many of you are familiar with Carolyn? You like to use the Fib Queen work, or you'd like to know more about it? She is absolutely amazing. She's been doing this for 30 years after running away from home, going to Wall Street at 18, and being educated right there on the floor. So you can find her work. She's on Mad Money. She's on Kramer all the time. She's on the street. We also speak at the Money Show this weekend. Carolyn and I are actually going to speak at Traders for a Cause in Vegas, which is going to be quite amazing. But you can find her basically all over the place. So here's a little bit about me. I'm not going to tell this in too much detail, but I did want to touch on it. There is, I started trading because I wanted to take care of my son, and here's a picture of me listening to Carolyn, John Henry back in the day when I used to work at home with my son. And then, here's where I am today after putting all the work that I've put into in this whole trading thing. When I go back and I think about it, trading is a skill that's learned over time. And there's people that say to me all the time, I think you were always meant to be a trader. And I think that is absolutely true. But I never would have gotten here if I didn't have people like Carolyn that I studied, listened, and learned from. And having a mentor is absolutely critical in this whole trading game that we're all playing right now. So let's talk about the market for the past couple weeks. I mean, we've had a lack of normal setups. And for those of you who are familiar with me, you know that I trade a lot of the squeeze. I trade a lot of trend following, and this type of normal setup, we really just have not had a lot of that over the course of the past couple weeks. We haven't had this basic trend with consolidation that explodes upwards. In times like these, it's a very, very critical to use some additional skills, as well as in these trend following market conditions. What you need is a base, something that's working in any type of market condition, something that is going to stay the same. So these are a couple of my recent trades lately. Gold was one of them. I use Fibonacci on everything that I do, every single chart that I look at. And I use Fibonacci to get in with entries like this and exits right at a great place, either at resistance or at a full target. So for example, with GLD, I mean, you can look at one of these technical charts and I can show you the entry and the exit based off of fib. And there's multiple ways that you can trade it. In this one example, I traded this GLD butterfly for about 50%. I think it was in a couple days. You can also use it with long calls, spreads, or buying GLD. Here's another one with TLT. Here's a Fibonacci cluster that I identified right here due to, Carolyn teaching me how to do that, with an entry and an exit right at resistance. In this example, I actually used a butterfly as well as some long calls. And so in this example, it ran up directly into resistance. And it's funny because you can't see it right here on the chart. I mean, I guess you can, you see how there's resistance right there? Well, you can quantify that with fib. And so while I was going for a full target where I typically get, 50 to 100% profit target, we didn't make it there. We stopped and we paused at resistance. And that's why I took off a little bit lower of a profit target. But that's something that Fibonacci can teach you. So that's a very critical part of this setup. And, it's funny because this is actually a picture from all the way back in 2015. Back at the time when I was learning how to trade, I was a member that came to one of the events, and I talked to Carolyn and I just said, you know what? I don't think I can do this. This is not going well for me. I can't figure out when I should get in, when I should get out. I can see the squeeze. I can trade the squeeze, but my entries and exits are terrible. And of course, that's where you make all the money. So I talked to Carolyn. She said, come on. Let me just sit with you. This is not that difficult. I'm a high school dropout. If I can do this, you can do it. And I thought, all right, let me try. And so I said, I'm going to give this whole trading thing one last shot before I go back to working my 12-hour days. Because at that point, I'm really struggling with my trading. I'm not making money off of my trading. And I'm either going to have to quit it and go back to a job, or I'm going to have to start making money trading. So at this point, looking back, I mean, that wasn't that long ago. It was almost 5 years ago. And now, I'm able to identify a short in Netflix at the $300 price point and watch it trade all the way down to $250. And that is a skill that Carolyn taught me. So on this setup, Netflix, it fell off a cliff. These are the type of setups that you can really get exponential gains. And it just really depends on what type of options trade you're using to trade it. So what about you? Have you been struggling lately? Have you been having a rough time with the entries and exits in the market? Yes, definitely lots of tweets lately, definitely struggling, surely, yes. So what would you say is your most difficult part right now? The moves are too big? So I can tell you exactly what my difficult parts were with trading. And this is something that I talked to Carolyn about all the way back in the day. I had a really lack of confidence in reading the charts. I was able to, follow trades that John and Henry took, but I really wasn't confident in looking at a chart and saying, okay, I know what I'm going to do with this without them telling me. I had a really hard difficulty in recognizing good setups over bad ones, trying to tell the difference between, what I now call the 5-star setup, which, by the way, the basis of that is fib. I also had an issue with letting losers run too long because I wasn't ever sure when I should actually cut something, which is also the same thing as kind of clinging to hopium. Getting out of a loser right before it turned around, that was a huge one. And then taking profits too soon. I mean, these are all things that are absolutely going to just kill your account. And so what it's going to do is if you're doing all these habits, it's going to ensure that your losers are outpacing your gains. So what's the solution? Well, like I said, I learned from John and Henry. They didn't know I was learning from them. I was just a regular member in the background in the chat room. They didn't know me. It wasn't any type of personal teaching or anything like that. But I had studied from them for about 3 years until I went to this event, and I met Carolyn, John, Henry, and now, obviously you can see what I'm doing these days. But what I had learned from the gentleman, I needed another piece because I wasn't able to really take it and make it work for me. And that piece was something that Carolyn taught me. So, you know, my account was dwindling. I decided to head to Austin. It was my one last shot. Okay. I took a credit card and I charged my flights on it, my hotel. I had no money whatsoever. And I said, you know what? I'm going to pay this off. And guess what? 6 months later, I paid it off with my trading account. So, how can I apply their strategies in this market? You've got the squeeze, you've got the trend. Okay, now what? How do you know when to get in and out? Of course, I studied everything that Carolyn did. And to make it easier, I wrote it down in easy to read formats. I gave it to Carolyn, who gave it to John. And guess what? That's how I ended up working here. So I basically became Carolyn's assistant. And Carolyn has come a long way too. She left home at 18 to being a regular on CNBC. It seems complex, but this is one of those things that's just so simple. It's setup plus trigger plus trade entry. Her formula is absolutely amazing. And the best part about it is if you don't have a trigger, there's no trade. This always bodes the question of, okay, which is better? And Carolyn has a variety of different setups. These are all setups that I use every day. Fibonacci clusters, symmetry, two-step patterns, timing. I take all of these and I combine it with everything else I do, and I use that to make money. So, I've talked a little bit about, me, about Carolyn, about how I use this, but I think the part that you care the most about is obviously the money. So what we're going to do is I'm going to flip this over to Carolyn, and she's going to show you a whole lot of different setups and how they work. And then I'll come and take it back at the end. So Carolyn, I'm going to flip this over to you now. Go ahead and grab the screens and the mic, and she's going to teach you her magic.
Okay, I finally got it. All right, so can you hear me okay? Okay, good evening, and thanks for coming. And I'm just going to go over a couple of the examples. And, there's also stuff, I don't know if you guys know, I also have like my own YouTube videos that you can look at as far as understanding the types of triggers that I use. So that I'll give you the links for that towards the end. But I want to start with a couple of examples. And the question is, how do 4 points on a chart predict a low? This is in the IBB, a 30-minute chart. But how do these 4 points predict the low on April 25th? And of course, nobody's supposed to know the answer to that. You could, look at it and say, well, yeah, maybe I see a two-step pattern or this and that, but I'm going to show you where it comes from. So this is one of the Fibonacci price relationships that I use, the 618 retracement. We measured the low to the high, ran the retracement. We had a 618 retracement that came in at the 104.56 area. And then, let me see if I missed one slide there. Okay, and then there was another Fibonacci price relationship that came in on that day. And it came from this prior low to high swing, extended downwards, 1618. I think that most of you know how to, use those retracement and extension tools, because I know that that Danielle and John and Henry all use them all the time. So we have now a 618 and a 1618 extension that came in at 104.54. Then let's see what the third price relationship was. Now, the third one was what I like to call a Fibonacci price projection. And basically, we had a prior high to low swing that was $2.05. And I projected 100% of that from the lower high. And that gave us potential support at 104.53. The actual low was made at 104.57. Okay, so it wasn't a perfect hit, but it was close enough. So now you had 3 price relationships that came in at that low on April 25th. And then, let's see, was I missing one of those? No, here we go. Oops, sorry about that. So then this ended up being the end result. We had a 2-step pattern. And we set this up with 4 points. This point, this point, this point, and this point. Okay. But you had a zigzag or 2-step pattern into support that was identified by running all possible retracements, extensions, and projections. So you had the 618 retracement that overlapped the 100% projection that overlapped the 1618 extension of the prior swing. That is a setup. Okay. So a setup is either going to be, a regular price cluster is a setup. That's the coincidence of at least 3 or more Fibonacci price relationships coming together. A 2-step pattern setup, which is also going to be a cluster with the minimum of 3 price relationships, but it also includes a zigzag pattern. And then the third one is going to be the symmetry projections. Okay. So anyway, once you get into this zone, if the support ends up holding, okay, because it's not always going to hold. There are tons of zones that the market will blow through every single day. But as long as it holds, what you do is you go down to a lower time frame chart to look for a trigger that tells you that it's worth placing a bet against the zone. But all it was 4 points on this chart that gave you this cluster. And I don't know what it did after I took a snapshot of the chart, but you did have at least a rally of 287. And this is just off of IBB, a 30-minute chart. So let's go through a few more examples. Oh yeah, but before that, as far as why would you use this type of Fibonacci analysis, it enables you to identify high probability, relatively low risk trade setups where the risk is clearly defined along with the targets. A lot of times, somebody's going to give you a stock market tip and they're going to tell you, buy this, but they didn't tell you where it's supposed to go. They didn't tell you how much to risk and all that good stuff. Well, this has everything. Okay. I'm going to give you the setup. I'm going to give you the definition of risk, and I'm going to give you the potential targets and hurdles with this method. All right, and I've applied this method to stocks, ETFs, futures, and the Forex markets. I don't actively do the Forex markets, but I am still doing stocks, ETFs, and futures. It's an excellent methodology to use with option strategies, okay, because that's what I think 80% of everybody in the trading rooms that I'm in, they're using options. And also, you can see things in the market that you'll never see using indicators alone. So, for example, on that chart that I just showed you in IBB, there was nothing via indicators that would have shown you that specific price zone. Okay, but this work does show you that. All right, here's another example. This is actually in REGN on a weekly chart. Whoops, let's go back to that first one. So again, this is the question. Why would you be looking for a high and reversal in REGN? When the market was going straight up at this time, what would have given you the heads up? So again, I'm going to show you with price relationships. And you wouldn't have found it with any indicators at all. You never would. All right, so one of the first price relationships was 100% of this prior low to high swing This was $157.08. This was $160.11. So similar, not a perfect hit of resistance, but close enough. Didn't really go through it by very much. And we did see the market start to roll over from there. But that's only one price relationship. You can trade against one price relationship, but when you have a number of them, it's definitely a stronger setup. So I'll take questions after I finish here. So here's the next price relationship. So this is a weekly chart of REGN, taking the high to the low. There's a 50% retracement that came in around that same general area. So now you have 100% projection and a 50% retracement. Let's take a look at the next one. All right, of the prior major high to low swing, there was a 618 retracement in the same general area. Came in at 443.60. So now there's three price relationships there. And another that comes from taking the prior high to low and running the extensions, and the 1272 extension came in at 440.67. So same general area that we were looking at there. I think this might be the last one. We also had, I always compare swings in the same direction, okay? Because many swings tend to be similar to other swings on the same chart. So in this case, it was this low to high swing projected from this low. Those swings were very similar, and that gave us 442.48 as possible resistance. So basically, you had 5 Fibonacci price relationships that came in between this 438.97 to 443.91 area. You could go back to your own charts and recalculate this because this is a weekly chart, so the chart's not going to be that much different at this point. And you can go back and test this for yourself. Okay, it's not like we're making this up. This is how the market, you know, comes together and shows us a trade setup. So we ended up putting in the high directly within that zone at 442. And you had a rally, sorry, a decline of 130 bucks. Okay, and I think it may have declined a little bit more after that. So that's the kind of setups that we want to look for. And I'm not going to tell you that I'm doing a lot of setups on the weekly chart. This just happened to be a great example because of the way that we had everything come together in the bigger picture. So let's see what else I have. Okay. Also, you'll say, well, you know, so you know there's resistance, so am I supposed to just sell it at the zone and risk above it? There are some people that do that, but I do suggest that you wait for a trigger that tells you that it's worth placing a bet. So for example, there's one trigger. I mean, this is not the one I typically use all the time, but as far as on the daily chart, the 513 combo is pretty important. It helps you stay on the right side in a lot of these trades. And you notice that over here, you know, you had the 5 above the 13 until here. So that could have been considered, you know, a sell trigger if you're looking at the bigger picture work. And at that point, you know, you look at some puts and your max risk is either going to be what the cost of the puts or above the high that was made prior to your sell signal. So that's how you get involved in the trade. Now, typically, for the most part, we're using for swing trades the 834 EMA crossover. On the 15-minute chart, that is the aggressive swing trade trigger. And the on the 30-minute chart is the not so aggressive. And the reason why I say the first is aggressive is because we do find that we will get stopped out more often than if you wait for the trigger on the 30. But if you have a high amount of confidence in the trade, you might want to take the entry with the 15 anyway. All right, so next example is going to be TWLO. So I had one of the subscribers ask me to look at this particular market. And at that time, you know, we were having a really nice pullback. So I went to see if there were, any key price relationships, and there might have been some retracements here or there. But the most important decision here was the symmetry, okay? The definition of symmetry is similarity or equality when comparing swings in the same direction. So I found that this decline looked very similar to that. So I measured it, and I found that this was $27.34. So I projected that $27.34 from the next high for the next possible support decision. And the actual low was made at 73.15, okay? And notice that this swing was 27.32 versus 27.34. Okay, almost equal. That is symmetry, similarity or equality when comparing swings in the same direction. Not only did we have that symmetry, this prior high to low lasted 8 trading days. And this was also making a low 8 trading days down from the last high. So not only did you have time support, time symmetry, you had price symmetry and time symmetry. And when you have both, and especially if it's in the direction of the trend, that's one of the highest probability setups, when you have time and price come together. So in this case, we ended up, initial rally was very nice. Where was your risk? Your risk was just under here. So the risk to reward on a lot of these setups, if they are larger swings, are huge, where you're risking maybe only $2 or $3, and then, something moves $60. Okay. I know it's hard to kind of stay in something when it, continually pulls back and everything, but ultimately, that was a good setup. All right, here's one that was recent. We've had so many crazy swings in these markets with the tweets back and forth, which kind of drives me a little bit crazy. And it definitely is a little bit more difficult. But one of the things that some of my traders are doing are just sticking to day trading, so you don't have to worry about any of the overnight risk, right? But this is another example of symmetry. So simple. You take this prior high to low swing. I also compared it to this one, but this one didn't match up. But this decline was $35.68. I projected that from the next high, and that came in at 217.82. Okay, the actual low I think was made a little bit above that, but it was close enough. And not only did we have the price support with the symmetry, you also had 1, 2, 3, actually I think there were 4 cycles. I may have cut off the last cycle, but we had timing. So when the market's trading down into support, and we also have timing cycles, okay, you look for a reversal of whatever the market's doing into the timing cycle. So since we were going straight down, we look for a reversal back up. So this isn't currently up to date. I know that we had a little bit of a pullback, but it does look like we're now back to heading towards this initial upside target here. All right, next example is in Facebook. Now, if you had indicators on this chart, do you think you would have seen this? I don't think so. I mean, basically what I do is I take all the possible, retracements, extensions, projections, and I look for clusters. And even though at that point going into it, I mean, Facebook was looking good. It was higher highs and higher lows, but then it made a higher high, smacked into resistance. And this is where I tell traders to ratchet up stops. Because if this resistance holds, you should get out, And the other thing is you don't only have to get out of current long positions, you could look at the short. So not only did we have the price resistance, but we also had time resistance, 18th, 19th. Now, I always look at timing plus or minus a day. The actual high was made on the 20th, so that was within the window because it would be, 9:17 to 9:20. And you had a healthy reversal since then. Okay, these are things that you're going to want to know, and you're not going to see on your charts unless you do this work, or I do it. I'm going to give you another example that we had looked at recently, and this did start to play out beautifully. I don't know why Caterpillar was rallying the way that it did. All I knew was that I had a lot of prior swings that were very similar, you know, to this swing, and that I had to measure them, and I had to project them all from the low at that time to see where Caterpillar might fail. And we had a zone from 132.93 to 135.50. All symmetry. It didn't even need anything else. And finally, it triggered entries on the 15-minute chart, the 30-minute chart, and we've seen a nice healthy decline since then. Now, I don't know if we're going to make the full target, but because we don't know if we're going to make the target, the other thing that you do, you know, in that formula where it says setup plus trigger equals trade entry, and then you manage it, you basically want to trail stops down. So, you know, the management includes your initial risk, which in this case would have been, you know, either above this high or above the high end of the zone. Okay. And then, yes, management might mean shooting for a target, but otherwise trail stops down as you go. And if you don't get knocked out, great. If it goes to the target, great. But targets we don't always meet, but we always do shoot for them. So that was a setup in Caterpillar. I also actually started, I have Tammy working with me now doing the charts on the stock index futures the first 4 hours of the day. And she's doing great with that, which has allowed me to start doing intraday timing. Okay, and it's really started to work out very nicely. As a matter of fact, when we had that high in the S&P last week, or no, not even last week, that was Monday, there was timing on a 30-minute chart that came in at the same time that we tested that key resistance before we rolled over. Anyway, back to this example. So what I do is I take the prior key swing highs and lows in a market, and if I want to see when the market might turn, I'll project from this last high with a histogram for the next possible low. In this case, you know, you really had a standout as far as the timing was concerned. At the same time that we had timing for low, we had price for low. It came in at this 1812 to 1819 area. So it hit, it held, it triggered on a 1-minute chart and rallied 47 bucks off of intraday timing. Here's an example of how you would have taken advantage of that. So I used the 834 EMA crossover, and what I wanted to see is a combination of, you know, the moving average crossover to the upside, which we got over here. You know, we basically want to also shift patterns from lower lows and lower highs to higher highs and higher lows. So when we took out this prior swing high, and we also had the moving average crossover, this was a buy with a stop below this low. And, you know, we had a beautiful rally off of that area. Let's see if I have anything else as far as examples. This next one is more about time symmetry, because I want you to know that this exists. And I do talk a lot about timing in this class. As far as time symmetry, a lot of times I'll back it up and look at the weekly charts. And in this case, I found that this prior decline lasted 47 weeks. And the decline at that time was 48 weeks into support. So again, not perfect symmetry, but close enough. Okay, 47 weeks versus 48 weeks into support. So you have both time and price supporting, looking at the buy side at that time. Again, you look for a trigger on a lower time frame chart. You look at the lower time frame because you want to get in as close as possible to where your definition of risk is. and you go from there. That was a nice, no, that was at the time of the snapshot, $11 rally and change. All right, let's see what else. Okay, recent. S&P timing. So a lot of people don't know that much about timing, but when you have a cluster of timing cycles like we did here, and you're going straight up into them, you anticipate a possible reversal. And not only did we have that going on, I mean, I didn't really think it was going to fail there, but we knew that it was a potential double top. We knew that we had timing. But then when it started breaking down levels, then we knew that, yeah, it was time to short against this time. And well, actually, there wasn't price in this case, but there was timing. We had 1, 2, 3, 4 cycles at the time. And as a matter of fact, recently, the 7th and 8th was the last timing in the NASDAQ cash. So I can show you that chart in a little bit, but let me just get through this. But yeah, that's what, that's what we're always looking at, timing and price. And let's see. Okay, I think actually, should I actually go over that NASDAQ chart, or how are we doing on timing here?
Well, Carolyn, I think what was really interesting is that you told me yesterday that there was timing in the NASDAQ, and then guess what happened today? So.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, because I wanted to kind of show that, because this stuff, you can't make this stuff up. So I always do the timing on the NASDAQ cash, because the futures contracts really don't have enough, back data for me to work with. And this is what happened. We had, and you could actually go and, check these yourself, because they exist. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, I actually had 9 cycles that came in between the 7th to the 8th. What were we doing into the 7th and the 8th? We were trading up into resistance and an area for possible failure. And it was pretty much the same thing. It was the 618 on the S&P cash. 618 retracement after having a break with the 513 crossing to the downside, also with getting price back below the 50 as far as the simple moving average. The only moving average you had on your side was the 200. But we knew that we had to watch for a possible failure, and we knew we had timing. So once it started signaling, I think I had some of my traders, I think yesterday, the 15-minute chart triggered. The 30-minute didn't, but the 15-minute chart did against that resistance. And also, this is what it looked like with a 30-minute chart. These are the same levels. It's just that they're done on the 30-minute chart, but that's where we made the high. You did see a moving average crossover to the downside. You did see the market take out a prior swing low, and that's why we've been focused on the sell side now until we shift patterns again. And in order to shift patterns right now, you would have to get above this prior swing high, 29.24 3/4. So tomorrow we're going to look at selling. I'm going to run new resistance off of this current low, and look for a possible failure and sell trigger. So the moving averages on my daily charts are the 250 simple, and the 5 and 13 are EMAs. So that's what I have on the daily charts. On all my intraday charts, I do the 834 EMA combo. And it doesn't matter, you could use other combos, but you'd want to test it first. This is what I've tested and used, and it works a high percentage of the time, not 100% obviously, but it does. So that's what I use. What do I use to define the time cycles? Well, there's 2 different ways that I do timing. One is with the outright cycles. where I can just measure, say, I can click on a high, click on another high, and then, you know, it'll run the cycles for me. And when I see a cluster of cycles like we did here, I look for a changing trend. But the other way to do it is there's, I have a histogram that I do use. Let's see, like to give you an example here. See, this might hit overnight. Okay. So to look for the next possible low, I ran the projection off of this high, okay, where we also had timing. And this is what it looks like. You do dynamic time projection, make a new report. The only problem is I have to see how many bars I need to go. Okay, like 15. So reports, make a new report. I'm going to look at the time right before where that low is made. Okay, and then this is where the cycles come up. So this automatically takes the swings that I've chosen for this swing file, and then it runs all of the timing, and then it goes right underneath the chart. So if we're trading straight down into one of these areas in time, we're going to anticipate a possible reversal back up. So like, let's say if you were short at that time, then you would ratchet down your stops. If you wanted to consider the long side, then you would see if the zone holds and the timing holds and see if it triggers an entry. But we've been doing this intraday timing now for, I don't know, about the last 6 months. So I will answer other questions afterwards, but I think Danielle's got to pop back on. So
hello, hello.
Yeah.
Yes, you can leave your mic open, and you know, if you want to collaborate or anything like that, it'd be awesome.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go ahead and take the screens.
That's fine.
Can fibs be automated? No, this magic is just done by the queen. I mean, Carolyn teaches how to do it, and it's so funny. I mean,
no, I think there's a guy that's selling a program for about $18,000.
Yeah, get out of here.
But he doesn't even use chemistry,
so it's funny because, I mean, in the beginning, when I was learning from John and Henry, and I would see Carolyn in the room, and I thought, oh my gosh, those are so many levels, so many lines. What am I supposed to do with that? And it was so funny. I mean, it wasn't until, you know, it's funny because John and Henry, I mean, they didn't teach me one-on-one. It was Carolyn that I met who sat with me, I think, for 2 hours and just said, hey, look, this is not that hard. These are just levels. They're based off of previous price movement. All it is a pattern. You just have to figure out how it works. And so it was really interesting because after that 2 hours, you know, I went, I got her book, I got her class, and, you know, it was at that point that Fibonacci just became a complete piece of my trading. And it's just absolutely critical. It helped me from getting shaken out. It helped me identify where to take profits. And I think the best part about it was that I was able to combine it with everything else that I was doing. And so, you know, for those of you who may be in the trading room or you follow other traders, I mean, you know, there's a lot of different setups, right? And here are just a couple different examples of the ones that I trade. So I trade the 5-star setup. I love the squeeze. I love Fibonacci clusters, symmetry, earnings trades, the run into earnings, the triple squeeze, multi-squeeze, reversion to the mean, counter trend. But hey, guess what? With all of these setups, you know what works regardless of whatever the market condition is? You have clusters and symmetry that can be found on any time frame at any point in time. You just have to know how it works. And so this is one of the first things that I actually focused on with Carolyn when I first started working with her, and just kind of breaking down, okay, how do you use what you're doing? How do I take those steps that you're doing in the charts and the levels, and how do I use that to make money? Okay, because that was my main question to Carolyn. It's like, okay, I see that you have all those lines there. I see the levels. Now, what am I supposed to do with that? And so that's why I came up with this 10-step plan for how to use that work to make money. And it starts with your trading style. You have to figure out your trading style. What time frame do you like to use? Are you aggressive? Are you conservative? Learning the Fibonacci terms and setups. I think that's probably the most basic part about it. But then the next piece is identifying the setups and the triggers that you'll trade. She has a very specific formula for how she identifies a trade, a high probability moment in time. And within that high probability moment in time, it helps you identify your risk boundaries. This is what's absolutely critical about Fibonacci. It tells you exactly, hey, guess what? To the penny. And it's so funny because when my dad told me about Carolyn, he said, yeah, it's so crazy. I mean, she will tell you a level to the penny. And I don't know anybody else who can do that. But those are your boundaries for the trade. And that's how you take your emotion out of trading, because you can look at that chart and you can say, hey, guess what? That crossed my boundary. That is where my stop loss was, and I'm out. There's no questioning it. Your level's broke, you're out. And the same thing goes for profit targets. We use Fibonacci to develop your trading plan, commit to it, stick to it, monitor setups for entries, and you only use setups that match your trading plan that have a trigger. Also, the management strategies are absolutely critical, managing those trades based on defined risk parameters. And then, of course, these are two key pieces to any successful trading plan, which is track and analyze every trade and figure out, what you need to do to get to where you want to be, and recognizing that it's going to take some time. So with Fibonacci, you can trade it in any type of different way that you want. You can have a low risk tolerance, and you can stick with the most conservative type of trades. You can stick with kind of a moderate risk tolerance, or you can use it to day trade futures if you want. And I think that was probably the most interesting part to me, was that you can use it no matter what asset class you're trading, no matter what time frame. You can be a day trader. You can trade weekly charts and be a swing trader months out. You can also use it for options. You can use it for futures. But really, all you are looking at are the same features right here, which is going to be pattern recognition, knowledge of the asset class, understanding of risk, support and resistance, entries and exits, and market correlations. But you can do it with futures, or with options, or with stock. So I don't know. For me, trading is just any other skill. And if I go back, I'm sure, Carolyn, you could probably tell a more embarrassing version of meeting me at the bar in Austin. But seems like a long time ago, doesn't it? So yep. I told you all my embarrassing story. But yeah, at that time, I told Carolyn, I said, I'm gonna have to go be an Uber driver, or I don't know what I'm gonna have to do, but my trading is not going well and I don't know how to fix it. And Carolyn was the way that I fixed it. So I had the very, very unique opportunity where Carolyn, I don't know what it was about me that, she was just like, you can help me write up some of this stuff. And what?
I was like, sit your ass down. She was so frustrated. Yeah.
I was very frustrated. And I don't know. I ended up writing a bunch of beginner content for you. And that was how I learned Fibonacci so well. And now I use Carolyn's charts. I also create all of my own Fib charts. And it's just something that's completely changed my life. And that's why we are sharing it with you here today. So, we're focusing on showing you the journey that both of us have been on. I don't know. For me, if I could go back and if I could say, hey, guess what? Why don't you learn Fibonacci at the very beginning of your trading journey instead of going through 2-3 years of really suffering and having to get to that point where you think you're going to quit? And so for me, it's just absolutely crazy, because I've gone from being an elementary school teacher on the beach of Costa Rica, no cares in this world, riding my bike around everywhere, to now, being on Fox, doing media all the time, teaching trading, using Fibonacci every single day of my life. And a lot of that is because of Carolyn. And so, tonight we've focused on why it's important and how it works. I mean, I think Carolyn's charts, they really just speak for themselves. She is an absolute queen at finding and identifying these levels. And then it's up to us to not only, I mean, if you want to learn how to do the work yourself, which I personally think is amazing, you can do that, or you can just use her levels that she already has and use those and add those into your trading strategy. So what we're doing here today is we are focusing on these opportunities that we have that are available with Carolyn's genius. And she's probably going to retire soon, aren't you, Carolyn?
4 years now. It's 4 years I'm going to semi-retire, which means I'm going to really take vacation, you know.
So we don't have you for very much longer.
Yeah, not that much.
Well, I don't know. We'll see. But what we have for you here today is we have the next step. So there's only so much that we can teach in an hour. I mean, that is just a little bit in piece. And we can show you, you know, hey, this is something that can work for you. This is something that you can add to your trading. It doesn't matter what you combine it with. Using Fibonacci and using mastery of timing. So Carolyn teaches timing cycles, clusters, symmetry. For me personally, when I first started out, I focused on symmetry first, and then I added in the clusters, and then I added in the time cycles. But in this very, very special package that we have here for you today, this is a combination of everything. I can't even believe they're giving this away for this price, because let me tell you, we taught this class last January, and it was Carolyn's most loved class. I mean, we had emails, we had everybody wanted to be in this class. This was a combination of Carolyn, John, Henry, and myself. Carolyn taught how to use the work, and then John taught, hey, this is how I use this work to trade. And so did Henry, and so did myself. And so you have this package that now, you know, we're offering almost a year later, that is that exact package put together, and it's already pre-recorded. It's in a perfect, easy to stream format. So if you purchase this right now, you're going to be able to stream it just like Netflix. And so we have a couple different packages here. We have this basic package that I don't know why it's called basic, because it's definitely not basic, but it comes with the strategy class and my recordings, John's recordings, Henry's recordings of how we actually use this work. It also comes with a bonus Fibonacci 101 course. And Carolyn teaching you how to actually do the work. And at the time when this was first, you know, being sold live, this thing was, I think, $1,000. And so now, you know, we're offering the streaming version for $397, which is a complete steal. This is, like I said, this has been one of the most popular classes because we had our team all together on the same class. So we had the queen leading the way, showing us, hey, guess what? This is how you do the levels. And guess what? If you don't want to do the levels yourself, that's fine. But here's my levels. And John, Henry, and Danielle are going to teach you how to make money with it. So we have this whole package, okay? And with the basic package, it's going to come with all of those previous recordings that we have done that you can stream immediately. Now, the best part about this is if you would like the premium package, we're going to do 2 days of live trading. So you're going to get the full, you know, multi-hour download, and you're also going to get 2 live days of live trading with us, which I think is going to be, let's see, what is it? 2 weeks from now, October 22nd. We're going to do October 22nd and also October 24th. It doesn't say right there, but it's October 24th. So, oh yeah, it does right there. October 22nd, October 24th. So for this premium package, I mean, you're essentially getting 2 classes for the price of one, which just blows my mind because originally the other class was about $1,000. Now we're giving the strategy portion for $397. And with this package right here, not only do you get all of the recordings, but you also get 2 more live trading days. So you have time right now that if you pick this up, you can stream it, you can watch the entire thing, and you can be ready for the live trading that we're going to do. Carolyn and I, we love to make a dream team trading session. So we're going to have a lot of fun with that on October 22nd. And then, you know, the next piece of this too is we have a live trade in Las Vegas. And I don't know if you know that Carolyn and I are so much fun to go to Las Vegas with. We have a great time. we have too good of a time. Okay. So
Yep.
we're having a Las Vegas live trading day prior to the Traders Expo. It's going to be John, Henry, myself, Carolyn, and Jack. And you know what? I know this says $12.97, but we actually, you know, Mandy and myself, we thought, oh man, you know, no, we want to make this more accessible. We want people to be able to join us. So we just slashed this price just before we went live. And what is it now, Mandy? Is it $8.97 or $9.97? So I didn't update the slide, but I didn't update the slide yet because we just changed this right before we went live on the webinar. Let me see where the page is. You can go to simplertrading.com/mastery for the actual page right here. But this is going to be an event where you're going to find all of us and you are going to get the class recordings. Not only are you going to get the class recordings, you're also going to get the live trading with us, and you get to hang out in Vegas and we can talk in person. And, you know, for me, those in-person events, I mean, I'm a little biased because, like I said, I was having a cocktail at the bar and the Queen changed my life. But I truly believe that, you know, being in person, you're able to just ask questions that you really need your answers to, and you can point at a chart and you can say, hey, guess what? I don't really understand why this is happening and how this is working. Can you please help me? And so for me, those live events, I told you, I charged, I think it was maybe $2,000 to a credit card when I was a super broke single mom. And I begged my parents, can you please watch my son? I have to go to this in-person live trading event. I know that I can turn it around, but I need to talk to these people in person. And my parents were very upset and they said, I can't believe that, you know, you're spending money that you don't even have to go to this event. And I said, you know what? It's going to be fine. So I go and talk to Carolyn. And like I said, you know, 6 months later, I was able to take my profits from my trading account, pay off all of those credit card charges. And, you know, I never, ever expected that I would be here now teaching a webinar, teaching a class with Carolyn. I mean, I just wanted to make money and work from home. But the thing is that the opportunities that you have when you're able to excel in a craft like this and when you're able to learn from the people who are the best in the field, I mean, you have no idea where that's going to take you. So these are 3 different packages that we are offering right now. I think it's pretty exciting because I really love teaching this class. I love the live stream or the immediate download. I mean, we're just in this culture right now where, you know, Netflix is everything. Netflix and chill, right? Well, guess what? Now you're able to just download and live stream a class immediately and for a great price. So here are the 3 different options that we have. I can promise you, if you end up coming to Vegas for this reduced price, what is it, Mandy? $9.97? Anyways, we're going to have an excellent time. We're going to have a full day of live trading and working on our trading plans, asking questions, all of this good stuff. So I really hope that you want to see us there. We're definitely going to take questions now. How is this package different from the Las Vegas package? So if you just buy the Las Vegas package, you definitely can, but you're not going to get the classes. And so if you just pay for the event by itself, you can definitely do that. Or, you know, if you pay the elite version right here, you get both the class recordings and the live training days, and you also get the event. So essentially the event is at such a discount. If I already purchased the live trading, would the elite price be adjusted? Oh, definitely. So if you already purchased the live trading and you want to add on the elite version, our team is standing in the background right now. Who's out there? Who do we have tonight? So you can email support at Simpler Trading and ask for the upgrade link. Say that you would like to upgrade from the premium to the elite package for the special discount. Typically, we have Anthony in the background, Caleb in the background, Joseph, and Robert. So, you know, you can also call Mandy. If you could post the phone number, that would be amazing as well. Mandy's also there helping out. Do I use dynamic trader software or just toss? So, you know, what's really interesting about this, and, you know, Carolyn had told me, hey, you need to get dynamic trader, and Carolyn loves dynamic trader. I think it's great for her. I personally use so many other Thinkorswim indicators that I like running my fibs on Thinkorswim. So Henry and I both use Thinkorswim, and Carolyn uses DT. And so I think it's one of those things where you can figure out what works best for you. And so for me, I like to use Carolyn's charts, and I also like to draw my own. And so by using Thinkorswim, I can combine it with everything else I'm doing. And that's why this class is great, is because in this class, you have multiple different takes. You have Carolyn showing you how to do the work in DT. And then you also have Henry and myself teaching you how to do it in Thinkorswim. So you really get two different takes on it. Will you show us in detail how to do timing cycles in TOS? Yes, in that class, the timing cycles are absolutely a part of it. It was very focused on timing. And so you also had, you know, John, Henry, and myself walking through teaching how we use those timing cycles to actually make trades. So not only does Carolyn teach, hey, guess what? This is how you identify a timing cycle, but you also have our trading team going through and saying, okay, this is how you use this to make money, which is the absolute critical part. Thanks, Danielle. This is awesome. Oh, yes, it is great. Yes. Let's see. So then what are you covering on the afternoon on the 9th at the Traders Expo premium class? So Henry and I are going to be talking about butterflies, ratio spreads, unbalanced butterflies, and spreads. Let's see. Next question. What is the best trading platform to utilize all strategies? So for me, I'm a little bit biased just because I use Thinkorswim. And so, you know, I use it because it's my favorite. So I like that the best. It has our simpler indicators. You can also use it to draw your fib levels. Within this class, Darrell, my amazing husband, has also put together a ton of tutorials for you for how to set up your fib levels, how to use them properly, and all of those come with a download. And so I know it might be a little bit, it looks like it seems like a lot, but with this class, we go through this step-by-step process from the very beginning to the end. And like I said, I mean, it's really just the basis of all of our trading. Do you cover how to do option spreads? Yes. During the recorded sessions, we absolutely talk about the variety of ways in which you can use the levels to make money. So, you know, between the three of us on our trading team, John, Henry, and myself, we definitely use spreads. We also use long calls. We also use butterflies. And so a variety of those different strategies are discussed with the levels. The best part about the levels is that really, I mean, if you're new to Fibonacci and you're not really sure how you want to trade it, we give you those parameters for it. But also, if you have a strategy that you love, say, for example, you love trading butterflies or you love trading spreads, you can take this work and add it to what you're already doing to make your levels more precise.
Good one, Todd.
And Dale says, I think we need to have an ST winter mentorship in Kona on the Big Island. Oh, I would love that. Hawaii, here we come. Can you put up a daily or weekly chart of HIIQ? Let's see. So we're not really running active levels currently right now. I mean, Carolyn went through a ton of different examples. Did you have HIIQ in that?
No. No, that's not one that I've looked at. Well, if you keep answering questions, I'll look at it in the background.
Okay.
And then I'll post.
How does the membership help? It's an additional offer. So that's a great question. So when you follow any of us, you know, especially Carolyn, there's different offerings, right? So you can take a class, you can learn how to do the levels, and you can work on that work yourself. Or, you know, you can take a class and then you can say after the fact, hey, you know what? I love that class. I loved having your charts. I want to follow up on this on a daily basis. And that is what the memberships are for. And so that's why we have different offerings, because we have people who want to take, you know, 4 or 5, 6 hour class and they want to just soak everything in and then do it themselves. And then we also have people who say, you know what, Carolyn, I love your work. I'm making money off of it and I want to subscribe and I want to see you every day. What is covered in the extended strategy class versus the recording? So the reason why this is an extended strategy class is because normally what we do for a strategy class is we have a weekend class that's, you know, maybe 4 or 5 hours. And then the live trading is usually extra and it costs, you know, about double, because then you have, you know, 4 live trading sessions or something like that. So in this basic package, you get not only the regular Saturday strategy class for 4 to 5 hours, but you also get 4 different live trading sessions that are pre-recorded that explain exactly how we use all of this work, walking through how to do the levels, how to do timing, and how to put it into play. So that's why this package is very special. And I can't even believe this deal right now, because you're getting a strategy class, you're getting pre-recorded live tradings for a discounted price, and you're also getting the 101 course. And if you really want some new live trading, you can get the premium package. You can pay a little bit more. You can get 2 days of live trading. You'll see us live. It'll for sure be a fun experience. And if you want to come visit us in Vegas and really get your trade on, then that is what we have the elite package for.
Yeah, so I posted the daily chart so far and of that HIIQ, and I'm looking at the 30, but there's not that much extra. There's just a little bit of extra support there.
So with the charts, I mean, you can ask Carolyn pretty much. I love asking Carolyn to run a chart for me if I'm in the middle of my trading, or, you know, after you take her class, you can learn how to do this yourself as well. And so basically what she just did was she just ran the different price relationships. So, you know, she teaches all of this work and how to do it, but all she's doing is going back and comparing previous price relationships with a specific set of rules that's giving her this setup zone right here. And what this is the cash money zone. And so what you're looking for is you're looking for price to hold a specific zone, which it is, and then you're looking for a trigger, and then you are looking for your entry into your trade with defined risk as well as your target overhead. So, you know, after you get to be amazing like this, after you get to be amazing at Fibonacci, you can run those charts in just a couple minutes, just like Carolyn just did. Does Fib help for day trading as well? And no, it's not a silly question. That's a great question. So yes, you can use Fibonacci. You can use Fibonacci on any time frame. You can use it on the daily time frame. You can use it on a 5-minute chart. You can use it on a 15-minute chart. So if you're day trading on a 5, 15, 30-minute chart, you can absolutely create your own fib levels and use those to trade.
Yeah, most of the guys in my room are doing. So I've been doing pretty much charts all day long, and then we have Tammy that starts first thing in the morning with the S&P, NASDAQ, and Russell. And you can take her setups with 377 tick chart. And, you know, I mean, there's a lot of people that are very happy with that setup.
Yes, I mean, I think the best part about fib is that it really puts, you know, it's the world is your oyster. And I hate to use that phrase, but I mean, it is. And so you can take it and you can do with it anything that you want. If you want to use a short time frame, if you want to use a longer term time frame, if you say, hey, guess what, I'm working all the time, I don't really have time to manage a lower time frame chart. Well, great, you can use weekly charts and daily charts. So this is something that, you know, you can use in any type of market condition on any time frame, no matter how you trade. It takes a little bit of work to get started, but that work, I mean, how many of you have taken my Stack Profits class or my Phoenix Finder class or my Ready Aim Freedom class? Every single one of those classes has a base that is in Fibonacci. The Stack Profits class, literally what that is focusing on using fib with butterflies. And so, you know, I don't teach how to do the fib, really. You know, I teach how to trade with it. And Carolyn is the queen. Carolyn is the one that can teach you how to run the levels just like a queen or a king yourself. And then after that, you've got John, Henry, and myself that will teach you how to trade it. Excellent. Excellent. Yep, and yep. Stack Mastery. You do. Yes, yes, yes. Hey, Dan. Good to see you. Betty, Sherry,
Also,
Dale.
I did have a guy that flew out here from California on a Saturday morning. He stayed with me for 4 hours. I just worked with him on the program, and I showed him how to just do, you know, like day trading symmetry and retracements. And he told me, he admitted later, he goes, you know, I went home so confused. He says, but a week later it clicked, and now he's consistently making money on his own. He doesn't even have to use me anymore.
And no, I mean, it's absolutely amazing. So I love telling the story. It's funny to think back to those years ago, you know, and I don't know. I just can't imagine my life without fib, and can't imagine my life without you, Carolyn. So that's why I'm passing all this along here today for everyone. Where do you learn about the butterfly? So this isn't really a focus. The butterfly isn't really a focus of this class. I did teach a class myself last summer where I focused on the butterfly in particular. But I mean, once you learn Fibonacci, I mean, you can use it to place butterflies, spreads, calls, stock, anything that you want. Yes, wonderful room, great teamwork, and a lot of setups. All right, well, who is going to join us? We're really looking forward to it. Oh, yes. Okay, awesome. You're going to be there. Sounds great. It's going to be a lot of fun. Carolyn and I are going to have a great time with our live trading. Raju says that he uses her symmetries but doesn't get the timing. Well, this is your chance to learn timing. Timing's an absolute incredible portion of this. Carolyn called the high yesterday in the NASDAQ, and you know, you saw what happened today. So now you have to sell this trip to Vegas to your wife. That's amazing. Count you in. You will be there. Awesome. You know, nobody has more fun in Vegas than Carolyn and myself. So will you be sending out a replay? Yes, definitely. Once this is all finished, it'll take Darrell a couple hours to get it all ready, sent out the replay. You are in. You just upgraded your Las Vegas live trading to elite. Looking forward to it. Boom. Awesome. Thanks, says Michael. Yes, but he doesn't have DT. Hey, guess what? That's completely fine. You do not need DT to do this. You can do everything that you need to do in Thinkorswim. if you do choose, and this is something Carolyn told me too before, she said, hey, don't worry about getting DT, just, learn what you want to do in the platform you're already using. And if you get to the level where you're running, 50 charts, yes, it's easier to use Dynamic Trader, but you just kind of have to figure that out for yourself. But as of right now, it's completely fine to use whatever platform you're using. We have tutorials for all the various platforms that Darrell has put together so that you can use, whichever one you want. How to configure a 377 tick chart. We can definitely help you with that. We have our support team in the background as well. Ooh, Justin says you're going to see us there. Are you going to be joining us in Vegas? We're going to have a great time. We love it too. I mean, we go to the Waldorf, so the events at the Waldorf, it's very nice, very classy. Of course, it's we like to class it up. Yes, Vegas, awesome. You use Fidelity, never checked it for Fib. I am pretty sure that Fidelity has Fibonacci. Darrell just walked right out of the room, but I can ask him. Okay, let me see. Does Fidelity have Fibonacci?
Yeah, definitely take a look.
Sorry, my husband's making jokes at me. He's making a vulgar Vegas joke over here.
Oh yeah,
He's very looking forward to Vegas.
Awesome.
Sorry, I couldn't stop from laughing. Do we just call the number to sign up for the Elite package? It might take me a couple days to ensure that I'll be in attendance. Raul, what you can do is just tell your wife, hey, babe, I just gave you a great surprise. It's a trip to Vegas. Yay. That's what I do when, I'm not sure if it's going to work out. Just make it a surprise. Yes, you can call our phone number. The link is going to be available definitely for a couple days. If you need a couple days to think about it, like I said, we have this discount going right now. We were going to raise the price of the live trading day. So I'm not really sure when that's exactly happening, but I do know right now that you can thank Mandy. Mandy went to bat and said, hey, you know what? I really want to make this Vegas mentorship accessible. And I think it would be great addition to this class since, it's going to be all of us there in Vegas who were teaching the class. So check it out. Dan says, recommend the Fidelity person opens a non-funded TOS account. Yes, that is actually a great idea. So you can just open a non-funded Thinkorswim account and you don't have to move your money over to it. You can just open Thinkorswim and use your fibs on there. And I did actually just search for fib levels in Fidelity. There you go. Here's Darrell's video right there. How to use Fibonacci in Fidelity. So I'll post you this link. Let's see. I'll post you this link, but I do agree with Dan that Fidelity is a little tricky for Fibonacci and all that stuff. All right, awesome. Well, we're so excited for all of you who are gonna be with us in the class, be in the live trading, for you to just take your financial future into your own hands and add something that you can use at any point in time, because it is absolutely incredible. I love all my mentors, especially Carolyn, because if it wasn't for you, I'd probably be bartending somewhere. So thank you, Carolyn. And beyond that, beyond that, do you have anything else, Carolyn?
No, I don't think so. I mean, just I'm pretty much in my room all day running new stock setups and updated charts, and then also the futures. So there's plenty to trade every single day, but you definitely can learn how to do some of it on your own. Yep, we'll see you out there.
You're very welcome. See you there. See you at the Traders Expo. Yes, definitely. Let us know. So, I mean, if you're not going to make our, simpler Vegas event, but you're going to be at the expo, definitely send us an email. You can email, I think Mandy, we can probably get together a list, right? So if you want to email, Mandy at Simpler Trading and then put me on there, Danielle at Simpler Trading, we can come up with a cocktail. Do you want them to email you too, Carolyn? Or so for like a cocktail hour,
hell yes.
cocktail hour. Yes. Yes. So perfect. So you can just, if you're going to be in Vegas, just let us know and we will be there. Yes, we have a cocktail hour at our event. Is that on the page? All right. So Simpler Cocktail Hour at the event. It's going to be amazing. Carolyn's very excited.
Oh, it's just been a long day. I had to do a webinar also at 3:00. So
it'll be on November. So our Simpler event is going to be November 6th. I'm going to be flying in on the 5th, so I'm not going to be able to do anything on the 5th. I will be at the event on the 6th. We're going to have a cocktail hour at 4:00 on the 6th. Oh, we got to put that in big, bold letters, Mandy, on that page. Cocktail hour. And then, beyond that, anyone else who is going to be there, definitely send us an email. You can put, Danielle at Simpler Trading, Mandy at Simpler Trading, Carolyn at Simpler Trading. Say hi, say you're going to be there, and we'll definitely see you there. So really funny comments. All right, great. Well, if you have any other questions, let us know. But beyond that, I hope you have a great rest of your night. Thanks for spending time with us, right, Carolyn?
Yep. So I hope to see some of you guys both in Vegas or in the live trading.
The actual trading date is November 6th, I believe. November 6th, yeah.
Yeah, I was told the 6th.
Awesome. Right. Thank you, Danielle, Carolyn, everyone behind the scenes. You guys are the best. Thank you. Great presentation. Awesome. Great results since adding fibs from Carolyn's book and my trading. Awesome. That is what we like to hear. Cash, money, honey. Yeah. The what?
The book helps a lot.
Oh my gosh, the book is amazing. So another thing too, if you add in Carolyn's book with all this other stuff, that is how I became the Fib Princess. So I don't know if you ever call me that, Carolyn, but people call me that. That's how you become the princess or the prince. All right, cool. Well, we will talk to you later.
Fibonacci Trading. I'm just going to give you the name of the book. Fibonacci Trading. It's How to Master the Time and Price Advantage, McGraw-Hill, on Amazon.
Yes, you can search for Carolyn on Amazon and it'll come right up.
Yeah. But that's extremely helpful because there's a chapter on everything. Alrighty then, I will see some of you tomorrow.
Ciao.